Hello, this is Miss Lumley, and welcome to the Radical Functions Test Review. So we've been working on the test review, and in this video we're going to start with problem number 35. So we're going to do the inverse of the function. We don't have to graph these, we're just going to inverse them. So let me switch over to y equals x squared plus 1 on number 35, and then I'm going to switch the x and the y like we do when we inverse something. So let's make it x. Remember, it's just the x and the y that change, not the squared and not the 1. In order to make this y equals, because it has to be y equals to show what the new equation actually looks like, I'm going to subtract this 1 over on the other side. So let me write it like this: y squared equals, and when you subtract the 1 on the other side, you get x minus 1. And then I'm going to square root both sides. And my final answer is y equals plus or minus the square root of x minus 1. Okay? So that's the answer, that's the inverse of number 35. Okay, let's try number 36. So my equation is y equals square root of x minus 2, and I'm going to change the x and the y here. Okay, so remember this is a square root function, so this looks something like this. So in order to do this and solve for y, I have to square both sides. So that means that this is going to be x squared equals y minus 2. And then what I need to do is just add the 2 on both sides. I'm going to write it this way because I like the y over on the left-hand side better. So I'm going to add the 2 over with the x, right? So it's going to be x squared plus 2. This would actually make a parabola that is not quite the reflection. I only want this half. So I only want this half of the parabola, which means that I need to set a restriction and say it's x greater than or equal to 0, so that it actually does just use that half of the parabola there. Okay, so now let's do the next problem. I'll go ahead and box my answer here for the inverse, and then we actually add the restriction in here as well. Okay, all right, so with the next one, I've got y equals 2 x squared. There's already a restriction on here. What they're saying is that they only want this half the parabola, so they only want that half of the square root function. So I'm going to go ahead and do the inverse. Let's see, x equals 2 y squared. I'm going to square root both sides. Let me start that over because I was paying attention to the square root, and I noticed that I needed to divide that 2 over there. What I'm going to do is I'm going to get rid of this 2 because I don't want to put that in the square root. Now I can square root both sides. Okay, so that will look better. Okay, so it's going to be y equals plus or minus the square root, because that's how you normally do it, right? And we can make this 1/2 x. That'll make it look better. But here's the thing. We only wanted the right-hand side. So really, we only want this side of the radical. We don't want the bottom part. So let's just take out the negative. And so what I'm going to do is I'm going to go ahead and just erase it real quick. Okay, right there. I only want the plus side, and so my answer is y equals, you can say plus, or you don't even have to put the plus if you don't want to, but y equals the square root of 1/2 x. Okay, so that's it for finding the inverses of these functions. Let's try number 38. Okay, so now we're doing domain and range, and everybody looks at it and goes, oh my gosh, this looks like it's going to be really hard. And so what I want you to do is I want you to think, okay, just shift it. This is a shift left 2 down 1. Boom, that's it. So the left 2 down 1, that is your domain, and that is your range. So I'm going to go ahead and use interval notation for these so that we can use the same thing we've been doing throughout the semester. And so for the domain, I'm going to go ahead and change my color here. For the domain, it's going to be -2 to infinity. Remember, it is equal to -2. And for the range, I'll put it right here. The range is going to be -1 to infinity. Okay? Remember, it's equal to, so equal to means you use a bracket. Okay, so let's try it again. We're going to do number 39. Number 39 is up to. So right here, I'm just shifting it 0, 2. Okay, so up to 0, 2. So the 0 is your domain, the 2 is your range. So I'm going to take 0 and do this, and then I'm going to take 2 and do that. Okay, now 0 is my domain because I'm going from 0 to infinity. 2 is my range because I'm going from 2 to infinity. Okay? All right, so this might be the one that's a little bit more difficult. So this is, now I'm not shifting it anywhere, so it's just right here, but it's upside down. Okay? So again, I'm at 0, 0. Okay, starting from 0, this is my domain, this is my range. This is where I'm starting from, okay? But here's the problem. Okay, so domain is 0 to infinity because I am actually going from 0 to the right. Okay, so that's your domain. All right, range is a little bit different. Range is going from the bottom, which means I'm coming up from -infinity, traveling up, and I'm going to stop at 0. Okay, which means that this range actually looked a little bit different. But anyhow, we have completed the last 3 problems, are domain and range. And really all you have to do is look to see where you shift them, find that point. The x value is where you start, that's for your domain to infinity. The y value is where you start, and that's that's your range and where you start and go to infinity. Okay? Thank you so much for watching. Please let me know if you have any questions. Have a great day.